If you're stuck at a bench plateau, you need to try these 3 things to increase your bench press, or if you just want to increase it even more. So starting up is the tempo bench press. The tempo bench press is a variation of the regular bench press where you lower the bar down slower than usually and maybe even hold a longer pause on the chest than usually. I've been using this for years and it's by far my favorite variation to increase my bench press. It can work for all types of bench presses, but it works especially well with people who have a wide grip and or a good arch. If you do a close grip, non-arched sinking bench press, this might not be the variation for you. I normally program this 1 time a week, in a few cases 2 times a week, for something like 4 to 6 sets of 2 to 4 reps. The intensity will vary quite a lot from person to person, but I find if you feel the tempo bench press is giving you a lot of carryover to a regular bench press, then you can push the intensity for the tempo bench press quite a lot. This means having the relative intensity, the RPE, even higher than your regular bench press, while the weight is still lower because it's a variation where you can lift less weight. What you should try and get out of the tempo bench press to carry over to a regular bench press is your constant leg drive throughout the whole lift, on the way down, in the pause, and on the way up. You should use your legs to get your chest up higher and actively think reach the bar with your chest. I like to do 4-2-x1 or 3-2-x1, and each number is referring to the state of the lift. So 4-2-x1 means 4 seconds on the way down, 2 seconds pause, as fast as possible up, and 1 second reset. So just to recap, I normally use the tempo bench press once a week for 4 to 6 sets of 2 to 4 reps at a relatively high intensity at around RPE 6 to 9, trying to use the cues reach the bar with your chest and have the constant leg drive throughout the whole lift. Now moving away from the tempo bench press, the next thing is soft touch or sinking bench press. I think it's reasonable to try both, but for most people a soft touch would be superior. Now I won't go into too much detail with this topic because it's pretty complicated. But in general, bigger people will do sinking bench press and smaller people will do soft touch benches, but everybody should at least know how to do a soft touch bench press. So if you want to get started, definitely learn the soft touch bench press first, and then if you want to, you can adapt into the sinking bench press. Some good variations to learn both techniques is long pause bench press and tempo bench press. So when doing a soft touch bench, you want to focus on having like 95% of the weight in your hands and only 5% on the chest in the pause. I would guess around 80% of people are better with soft touch bench press. Now moving up to the next and last thing is frequency of the bench press, aka how many times a week are you benching. A lot of people can bench press way more often than they think they can. For instance, I'm benching 5 times a week right now, and I've also been doing 6 times a week. There's a couple of ways you can tell how often you can bench press. First up, age. If you're a young lifter, you can probably bench press more often. If you have relatively shorter arms, you can also probably bench more often. And if you have longer arms, probably bench less often. If you're super strong, you can probably also not bench as often. And here, relative weights actually isn't as important. It's more the absolute load that you're bench pressing that matters here. And then some people will just be able to recover better than other people. How I would recommend increasing your bench frequency is figuring out how many total sets a week are you doing right now and what's your tonnage right now a week for the bench press, and keep that around the same but add in it 1 more bench session. By this it will be way easier to adapt to the new bench press frequency because you have the same volume as before, but you will probably get in more quality work and more skill practice of the bench press.